Hey book friends, it's Diana and I am here with the How I Read Books tag. So both Sam from Thoughts on Tomes and Ashley from Tea Leaves and Bookbindings tagged me in this ages ago, and I am just now getting around to doing it because I suck at life. Thank you ladies for the tag. If you have not checked out their channels, I've linked them down below, so go check them out. The original creator of this tag is a mystery. Their video has been deleted and I have no idea who started it, so if you do, let me know because I would love to give them credit. There are 8 questions. Let's do this. Question 1. How do you find out about new books? Firstly, I find out about them through you. I watch your videos, I follow you on Twitter, and whatever books you're talking about, I usually look into. And if I like them, I throw them on my Goodreads shelf, or I even add them to my Amazon wishlist right then and there. Speaking of Amazon, I actually find a lot of books through Amazon. They have recommended for you, they have Kindle daily deals, they have customers who bought this title also bought this title, and a bunch of different other recommendation sections. I'm on Amazon a lot because I have a Kindle, and the Kindle daily deals are amazing. I've gotten some great books for like $2. So I'm always on there going through my wish list, seeing if any Kindle deals have come up for titles that I know that I want. And then of course, some days I just go into Barnes & Noble and I just look at the shelves. And I think, oh hey, that looks good, or that sounds good, or Cassandra Clare has blurbed this title, I wonder what that's about. So basically those are the top 3 ways I find out about books. Through you, through Amazon, or just by wandering the shelves in Barnes & Noble, which I absolutely love doing actually. Question 2, how did you get into reading? So my mom was super protective. I was not really allowed to leave my yard, and I didn't have a whole lot of friends growing up. So books kind of filled a huge hole in my life. And I started out with mysteries, Nancy Drew, Encyclopedia Brown, and things like that. So I first got into reading because I had nothing else to do. And I sort of just stuck with it. It was the thing I loved to do most in the world, followed closely by video games as a child. But when I was very young and in grade school, my teachers actually recommended that my parents get me a library card because I had read all of the books in their library, and they were like, this girl is gonna need some more material to work with. And my parents happily paid the $40 for a family membership, and I was there pretty much every week. Question 3, how has your taste in books changed since you've gotten older? I kind of think my taste in books is sort of always evolving. When I first started reading, it was, basically mysteries. That was my first real love genre. I read the Bobbsey Twins, the Boxcar Children, Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys, everything that had anything to do with mysteries, I would read the crap out of it. I also read a lot of books for school, and anything my teachers gave me to read, I would read that, but my first chosen genre was the mystery genre. When I hit middle school, I got into this phase where I thought I needed to read all of the classics, so I started to do that, and let me tell you, I was not quite prepared. I read Little Women, I read Gone with the Wind, and I was like, these books are not really my jam. I appreciate them as much as, a 13-year-old girl can appreciate those books at that age, but I didn't really enjoy them, so I sort of transitioned away from the classics and just started reading whatever I felt like I wanted to read. But back then it was usually based on word of mouth. Somebody told me that they thought I would like this book, or a teacher recommended it to me, or one of my friends was reading a series, so I just decided to read it with them. The YA genre didn't really get big for me until like the end of high school, beginning of college, because I didn't really know that it existed. There was a period of time where I read just paranormal romance. I loved Denita Blake books, I loved Interview with a Vampire, I loved Mercy Thompson, I loved anything that had to do with werewolves, vampires, shifters, anything to do with the paranormal genre in general. And that's pretty much how I spent like 2 years of my life reading the paranormal genre. I found the YA genre somewhere in the middle of my junior year of college, and from then on that's pretty much what I read unless I had to read something specifically for school or for class. Anytime I get to leisure read, I pretty much read YA. I do step out of that zone occasionally to check out like contemporary titles in the general fiction area, but I don't really read nonfiction at all for the most part, except for like memoirs and like biographies. So yeah, now it's pretty much YA and popular fiction. Question 4, how often do you buy books? Way too often. Way too often. I cannot even with myself when I buy books. For a really long time, I actually didn't buy books. I got them from the library because I was like, why would you spend all this money on books when you can rent them for free from the library? And then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I want to support these authors. I love what they're doing. I want to give them my money because that's how I support the things I love. So I actually started buying books, I think, out of college. Even though I was totally broke and had all these college loans to pay off, I would go to Barnes & Noble like every couple months and pick up a couple titles. And then my mom got me a Kindle because she thought that it would help me save money on books because Kindle books are traditionally cheaper than actual books. And I was so excited about it. I was thrilled. I've had pretty much every version of Kindle since the thing came out, and it's still one of my favorite things that I own. So for like a year, I didn't actually buy any physical books. I just read ebooks, and everything was going pretty great. I was loving it. And then I was like, I kind of miss books. So I came up with this system. If I wasn't sure I was going to like the book, if it was by a new author, or if it was a hardback only release, I Kindled that book. Because hardbacks are really expensive. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I Kindle it first, and then if I really love it, I will buy the actual hardback. And this system is pretty much the one I use now. So for most books, if I'm not sure I'm gonna like it, or if it's a new author, I just go for the Kindle version. But if I'm familiar with the author, I like their work, or I'm sure I'm gonna like the book, I will buy a physical copy of that book. Chances are I will probably buy the Kindle version too, but I will actually buy a physical copy of that book. I do have some auto-buy authors where it doesn't matter what they're writing or what they come out with, I will buy an actual copy of their book. So that still happens. But for the most part, it's a nice mix of Kindle books, paperbacks, and hardbacks. I do have hardback editions of my favorite books. As you can see from my bookshelf, I have quite a few hardbacks that I've collected over the years for authors that I really enjoy or series that I really love. So I definitely buy a lot more now than I used to. As for how often I buy books, I do go into Barnes & Noble usually around twice a month. I do set aside a portion of my paycheck every month to go towards books specifically, but I found that buying from the book outlet or even the book depository or even Amazon sometimes is significantly cheaper than buying books in store at Barnes & Noble, even with my membership discount. So generally I have a lot of packages coming in from Amazon, especially this past fall. I had books pretty much coming every week because all of the most amazing titles are released for some reason in September and October. So it's been a nonstop Amazon box parade at my house, and my parents were like, what the hell are you buying? And I'm like, they're books! And they're like, you're such a nerd. Question 5, how did you get into booktubing? So I was on BookTube for about a year before I started to make this channel, and I would basically just watch people's videos, watch their reviews, watch their hauls, just to get ideas for books that I was going to want to pick up. I'm actually a very shy person, and I didn't really want to start a BookTube channel because I really get uncomfortable with attention. But since it's sort of like an internet thing and you're only seeing videos of me and I don't actually have to physically talk to you, I actually kind of got the hang of it now, and I'm a lot more comfortable in front of the camera than I used to be. And my cat is climbing into a bag, so if you hear some weird sounds, that's just Chapter being Chapter. But yeah, I'm actually a lot more comfortable now than when I first started a couple months ago, and I'm happy to be here. As for what actually got me to start this channel, again, I've talked about this before, but I've mentioned her a million times, Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. I just really wanted to hang out with her. I really wanted to talk to her. I really wanted to be part of the community that she was in because I thought she was awesome and we had a lot of similar tastes. And I just really wanted to be her friend. So I was like, let me make a BookTube channel and we could totally talk about books. And that's what I did. Question 6, how do you react when you don't like the end of a book? It doesn't really happen very often where I don't like the ending of a book. There have been very few cases where I just have not agreed with the author at all. So my reactions haven't been quite as passionate as you would think, but usually it goes one of two ways. I will either make this facial expression or this facial expression. Really? Really? What? Why would you even? Fine, whatever. Okay, your book, fine. Let's move on. But again, that rarely ever happens. Even with the whole Allegiant ending, I didn't like the ending, but I understood it. I actually think I would have probably made the same choice Veronica Roth did. And that might get me a lot of hate, and I don't know what to tell you, man. You know, I think it made sense for the character, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I actually liked it. I am a sucker for the happy ending, but I do definitely appreciate the sad ones if they make sense for the story or for the character. So basically, I'm here for what the author's here for. If you can convince me of it, I will go with it. Question 7, how often have you snuck a look at the last page of a book to see if there's a happy ending? Never. Never. I don't ever do this. Who does? That ruins the entire... Why would you do that? That doesn't even make sense to me. No. That's against the rules. I have very rarely actually snuck to the back of the book to see how it all plays out. Occasionally, I will accidentally glimpse into a future part of the book when I'm trying to find my place, and I'm like, God damn it, when I find out things that I didn't want to know. But I don't ever actually seek out information that I haven't gotten to yet in a book. There have been very, very few times in my life where I have been so anxious with something that I might have snuck a few pages ahead to make sure that it ended soon, or to see if I was going to, you know, get some relief. But I've never actually gone to the end of the book and said, I need to know how this ends. Because actually, if that happens, I tend to not want to read anymore. If I already know how it's going to end, it sort of takes away my desire to figure out how it ends, and I stop reading. At least that's how it is when I run into spoilers about book series that I haven't finished yet. I'm like, well, now I don't feel like reading that. Question 8. Who are you going to tag? I'm going to tag Penelope from Penelope's Picks. I'm going to tag Edith from Vintage Bibliophile. And I'm going to tag Chantel from Book Hands. Because I like those guys and I want to see how they read books. But what about you guys? How do you read books? How often do you sneak a peek at the end of a book to find out what happens? Do you have a book buying budget? Let me know in the comments and we'll talk. That's it from me. I will see you next time. Bye!